Do not judge, or you will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Many people understand this verse as the Bible teaching not to judge. But really, if we pull back in the scope and really look at the scripture as a whole, we see that what this is speaking about is not to judge other people's salvation or to have the audacity to say that they will go to hell, because ultimately that's not our decision. But rather what this means is if you don't have the ability to judge things properly, don't judge at all. And then Christ says what exactly that means. Right here, he says, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all this time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. So right here, he's giving the comparison, and saying that, okay, it's all right to judge your brother. First, though, judge yourself. And for Christians to say that the Bible does not promote judging really have a complete upside-down, twisted misunderstanding. In fact, there's a book called Judges in the Bible. So for us not to judge, really, I don't know. You really have to question their understanding of the Scripture. Also, if you go back and you read the story of the Good Samaritan, Christ is telling some people around him this parable of the Good Samaritan, and then at the end he said, who treated him neighborly? And the man replied, the Samaritan woman, I suppose. And Jesus answers, you have judged correctly. So in matters like this, you judge. And even St. Paul says, do you not know that you will judge the world? That you will judge the angels, rather? And so all of those letters that all the apostles sent out to the churches was judging their behavior, how they started out in the spirit and ended up in the flesh, and teaching them how to get back into the spirit. And so the Scripture encourages judging and how to judge others. The one who doesn't judge people really isn't the one who loves them. If your child, let me use a comparison story. If your child is doing drugs, the father that doesn't judge them and say that this is false and this isn't wrong and that this is wrong and really doesn't say anything, isn't the one who loves them. It's the one who loves them that cares for them, that will teach them that this is not right to do. And so, therefore, it's important that we understand, that the purpose of the church is to be salt and light onto the world, is to stop the decay and the rotting of the world. And so we are to be that city on a hill, and to show what is right from wrong. And the only way you can do that is by judging. Now, like I said, we're not to go around judging people's salvation and where they will be on Judgment Day and whether they will be right with God or not. Now, we should most certainly answer them so long as they keep rejecting God and rejecting Christ's salvation, that it won't end up good for them. But this doesn't mean we have the right to tell them that they will go to hell. Because after all, the Bible talks about believers putting stumbling blocks into other people's salvation. So, if I might use an example, some people aren't following Christ because of the behavior of other Christians, and so therefore, or people who claim to be Christian, and so therefore, if God deems fit that this person didn't come to him because other people in the name of God tried to were being hypocrites, that God will judge that situation justly, and that they will be shown the truth of the salvation of Christ. Romans chapter 1, particularly in and around verse 18, deals with that quite a bit. And so we see a lot that the Scripture does. In fact, in this verse, we see how to judge situations. All through the Scriptures about judging different situations and how to behave. And most certainly, we're to speak the truth. Jesus called hypocrites hypocrites. Jesus called liars liars. And Jesus called children of Satan the children of Satan. And so we have the very right to expose people of their hypocrisy and their lies. But we must do this in a loving manner. And it's not to lord over them or think that we're better than they are, because we're most certainly not. And we could fall into the snare as easily as they have. And at one point, we all disobeyed God. And so to think that we are somehow better, the Scripture is completely against that. We must be humble and live in love with one another. So, thanks for watching, guys, and take care. God bless.